What's up, everybody? Shadow Phoenix here. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of my future DLC ideas. This is a series that I'm doing where I'm kind of just brainstorming different thoughts about DLC theme packs for Planet Coaster. I don't have any insight, as I have said, previously in the other videos. I don't have any clue what the next DLC is going to be. None of this is, like official, or like I didn't break into Frontier Developments and steal any thoughts or anything like this. This is just my thoughts, my brainstorming, my ideas about the possible DLCs that we could maybe get. So today we are going to look at the Family Fun Pack. So one of the big things I've been seeing, and especially it's been coming up a lot more here lately, is the different kiddie rides, family rides, kiddie rides. A lot of people are saying they would love to have more of these in the game, and I can totally see this because there's definitely a lack of of kiddie rides, so to speak, of family rides, and it would be fantastic if we could actually get some of those into the game. So I've compiled a small list here of different rides and stuff that would be kind of cool to get in Planet Coaster. And let's kind of go over some of these ideas here that I've got. So let's start off as normal with flat rides. So flat ride wise, one of the ones that I kind of found here that are in a lot of theme parks anymore are these little, I call them hoppers. They're kind of like miniature drop towers for kids. I've seen them themed to frogs a lot of the times, but it depends on the park and what the park wants. They can be themed to anything, but they're just these really small kind of rides that kids can get on, and they sit in these seats, and it takes them up, I don't know, maybe 10 feet, something like that, and then it just kind of drops them a little bit, and then kind of picks them back up and drops them a little bit. It's a very small ride, but these are something that a lot of parks and stuff are getting that I've been seeing. And that is just one of the rides. So we're going to move on and let's talk about another ride here. Now this one's kind of a classic, and it's actually in the other Roller Coaster Tycoon games, and that is the Rockin' Tugboat. If you're not familiar with this ride, it is typically it's like a little steamship boat or something like that, some kind of little tugboat, very colorful, and it kind of just it's almost like a mini disco ride. Not quite the mega disco, but just like a disco ride where it just kind of, it has a platform that it goes back and forth on that's kind of like a half curve, and it just kind of rotates around on that, and that's the whole idea of it. Like I said, we had this in, I know for a fact Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 had these. I'm pretty sure it was 3 anyway. I know I said for a fact I know this, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I actually played Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. But yeah, that is something that I think would be kind of cool to get in the game. Something kind of colorful and fun. Now next, this is something I've seen people actually make this on the workshop, and of course they're non-working. And I don't really know how this would work in game, but I'm sure it could definitely work. And that is one of those giant slides. So obviously I don't think they would make this into like a ride that we can adjust or make different. It would just be kind of a set thing that we would put it down on the ground, and then that would be it. Just place it and forget. So it's if you're not familiar with these are really, really old rides. I remember Kings Island used to have one of these when they first opened. They may have even brought this over from Coney Island. And it's just a giant colorful slide, and you would climb to the top of it, and then you would get on potato sacks and just kind of race down these slides against other people down till you reach the bottom. And there's different lanes. Usually there's about 6 or 10 lanes or something like that in each one. Just depends on how big they are. You could probably do six lanes for a 6-person group of people. Since Planet Coaster likes to do groups and groups of 6, I think that would probably be what they would probably do with that. Alright, so moving on along, I know here's one that a lot of people would love to have, especially Disney aficionados out there. That is the Orbiter, or just we could just call them rocket ships for not going along with the Disney theme. But a very sci-fi themed ride that you get in, and it's almost like the Dumbo ride in its own way. You hop in these little jet rockets, and you ride around in a circle, and they go kind of up and down and tilt up and down. That's the whole idea of it. But seeing as Frontier loves to do things that are very Disney-esque, we usually see something in just about every DLC that's very, obviously they got that from Disney. And Magnificent Rides had the Tracker ride, which is a complete copy of the new Beauty and the Beast ride that's going in. So I feel like if they're going to do something kind of Disney themed on this one, this would be a great idea, and we could totally get these the rocket ships or the orbiter. Alright, so the next ride that I kind of think would be kind of cool to get. This is a personal favorite. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever actually been on one of these, but I could totally love seeing one of these in the game. Very old. It's called a Tumblebug, and it's a ride. It's kind of like, I guess you could say, one of the predecessors to Music Express in its own way. Riders will get in these little cars. Sometimes they're themed to bugs, and they just go around on this single kind of track and around, and they are moved by a centrum, I guess you could call it, like a lever that just moves. It's powered, and it moves them around and around, up and down over these little airtime hills. So totally could be like a first kind of coaster for a kid. Even though it's not really a coaster, it would give the simulation of being on a airtime coaster for smaller kids. Again, it's very, very old. I don't imagine many of you probably know this ride, but looking through different parks and stuff and trying to come up with a list for rides that could be maybe in a family ride park or pack, DLC pack, I think this would be one that we could probably get. And the next idea I have for flat rides would probably be something. I know when you look at like kid areas and family areas in a lot of parks, a lot of the rides are just basic spinning rides. They just, rides that you get in themed cars, and they go around and around and around. And there's all kinds of different themes. Everything from fire trucks to, I don't know, frogs or bumblebees or birds or, whatever. So luckily, Frontier has, with Planet Coaster, we have our own little version of different characters, such as Dopey or, King Coaster. So what if we got just a couple of small spinning rides that are themed around these different characters, like a Dopey Spinning ride where you get on little dinosaurs and just go around and around. It's almost like a miniature kind of carousel in its own right, but it's not really a carousel. But I know you guys know what I'm talking about with this ride. Sure, you've seen these in any park that you go to. There's just a lot of these. So that would be something kind of cool. And they could go with the Planet Coaster. I think with this one, this is one thing that I wouldn't mind being Planet Coaster themed. Leave the logo off of it, but yeah, some Dopey spinning rides would be kind of cool. Some King Coaster spinning rides, maybe Ellie's Roundup ride or something like that. I don't know, but you guys kind of get what I'm saying with that, right? All right, so moving along out of flat rides. This next one was actually kind of tough to come up with, but I think I figured out a way that they could do this and still actually be kind of a cool addition to the pack. So I tried to think of roller coasters that are very family oriented, and I gotta say it was actually not easy. We have a lot of them already. These Mine Train coasters are very family type coasters, although I would love to see a launched version of a Mine Train. And that's just for personal reasons, which most of you who watch my channel will find out soon enough. I would love to have that, and it's just something we can't do. We can't launch, and we can't put the Mine Train on any track that does have a launch, so that kind of sucks. But I think for coasters, though, for a family fun pack, one of the ones that comes immediately to mind is a Vekoma roller skater. Now, one could argue that we kind of have those already with the junior coasters. There's the Ladybug themed one, and then there's the one it's kind of themed to Shamu, like Shamu's Express. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that or not, but it's actually like a killer whale is what the other one is, and the other one is a dragon. That's what it is. We got the Dragon Junior Coaster and the Killer Whale. A lot of people usually theme the Killer Whale one to kind of look like a bug, or at least that's the way I do it. But it's actually, believe it or not, it's actually a killer whale, and it's modeled after Shamu's Express. All right, but anyway, I digress. Let's move along to the other coasters and stuff. So like I said, I had some trouble trying to come up with different coaster ideas for this. The other one, and I've seen this one actually asked for by quite a few people, is a powered coaster. So the powered coaster is actually dates back quite a bit. A lot of these, when I tried to find like videos and stuff of these, most of the ones I were seeing were Mack, and they were usually Mine Train, like a powered Mine Train coaster. And, you know, I suppose they could give us that. That would be alright, a powered Mine Train. But I know a lot of people probably would like that. But I'm thinking, you know, maybe they could give us something just a little bit more generic than a Mine Train for that. But here's something they could do with the coasters in this pack. Since there's not a whole lot of family coasters that we don't already have, I was kind of thinking, what if this time around they gave us a bunch of cars, like a bunch of different trains that we could do. Maybe they could do a Bumblebee train, or they could do like little planes. Kind of like, what is it, Goofy Sky School, I think, has the little planes on the junior track. They could do, like with the Vekoma roller skater, they could do actual roller skate cars. You know, or anything of that nature. That maybe barrels. Maybe you get in small barrels and go around a track. That would be interesting. Kind of cool. I'd like to see that. So instead of actually giving us like multiple tracks and multiple coasters, they could give us a couple of coasters and then some multiple cars, multiple trains to choose from to put on said junior coaster track. So that's kind of my thoughts for roller coasters. I did ask in my Discord for people to kind of post their ideas for rides. One of the ones that was suggested was the new Vekoma family inverts, like the one that's going in Dollywood, or for people overseas, or Conan. And I thought about this, and this was actually a thought that I thought of too, and then when I asked for suggestions, this one was brought up. And the reason I didn't want to add it is because we just got the Vekoma SLC in the last DLC, and I was kind of thinking, well, you know, the Vekoma family invert, the new one, is very similar to that. Although it's not exactly the same, it is very similar, so I kind of was debating adding it to our coaster list, but I think, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and do it, because, you know, I think some people would like to have it. Even though there's not a huge difference, the restraints are different, and the train is slightly different, or the track is a little different. Not by much, though, so if you wanted to, you could totally use the Vekoma SLC and make a family Vekoma invert, but it wouldn't look exactly the same. But it would be close, and, you know, with Planet Coaster, close is about the best that we get, right? So, but, yeah, I mean, that could be another coaster that they could probably add into this pack, would be the Vekoma family invert, the newer models of that. Another one of the rides that was, and this was going back to flat rides, I know I'm kind of like jumping around the list a little bit, but another one that was added by a quest, I should say, in my Discord, the Crazy Bus. So in my last DLC idea thing, I kind of come up with the idea to have, actually I think it was maybe the Boardwalk one, well, one of them anyway. I had the idea to add the Magic Rainbow ride, which is basically where you get on these platforms, and it just kind of goes around and kind of swings back and forth like that, like a pendulum. And the Crazy Bus is basically the same thing, but a smaller version. So yeah, I mean, sure, that could definitely be something we could totally add into the flat rides. I would like to see that. That we see these in some parks, so sure, why not a Crazy Bus ride? All right, so that ends all of the flat rides and all of the roller coaster thoughts that I have for this DLC. Moving on along, let's take a look at tracked rides, because we usually get at least one tracked ride in every DLC. So I've got 3 different ideas that we could probably get in a family fun pack. A DLC pack that was themed to kiddie rides and family areas. The first one, I would love to see this. I don't know how they would implement it. Like, I got no idea. But, you know, maybe it doesn't actually work per se, but just looks like it does. One of the shooting dark rides, something like Toy Story Mania at Disney, or Battle for Metropolis at the Six Flags parks. The Cedar Fair ones they used to be the Scooby-Doo, like Boo Blasters, but now I think they're just called Boo Blasters on Haunted Hill or something like that, and they just took Scooby and them out of it. But those Sally dark rides where they give you like these little laser guns and you shoot at targets while going through the course and see who ends up with a better score. You could maybe put DLC, like some scenery in this DLC that kind of look like targets and things. You could also maybe put up like fake scoreboards, maybe that kind of fluctuated different numbers and stuff on it as part of the scenery pieces. And although it technically wouldn't work, it would make some interesting animated scenery that maybe could be added to the game. And as far as scenery and stuff goes, like I've stated in the other two DLC thoughts and ideas, I think that a lot of the general public would love to have more scenery pieces in the game. I personally love just having Ride Pack. That works fine for me. I would love to use some of the Theme Maker's Toolkits, but I just can't yet because Frontier still hasn't fixed that for my uses yet. I know a lot of you are dealing with it, but, I don't want to use it. And until they fix it, I have no intentions to doing it. But still, I mean, once they do fix it, I think the Theme Maker's Toolkit is going to be really what they want to kind of go with. So, but I'm getting a little bit off topic right now. So, I think with scenery and stuff, a lot of these things for my ideas for dark rides could totally go into this, and the general public wanted more scenery. They were very upset that there wasn't no scenery in the Magnificent Rides pack. I've seen a lot of comments about this, and again, general public, I myself perfectly fine with an All Rides pack. But Estan Wolf, for example, loves his scenery, so even though he loves the Theme Maker's Toolkit items and he does those videos where he goes over the different ones, I know he would love to see some scenery pieces as well. So, not just general public, but there are other people out there who were a little upset that there was no scenery pieces. So I think adding some scenery into these sets would just be something to do. Vintage did it well. We got a great mix of flat rides, a great mix of coasters, and a great mix of, we got, I think, one track ride in that as well. Plus some scenery it was in that too. So something like that I think kind of works well. So the shooting dark ride can maybe have like targets and stuff, animatronic targets. That would be kind of neat to get. It would be a great excuse for them to add more animatronics into the game that they weren't able to with the other themes too, like haunted stuff, things like that. All right, so moving along, another track ride. One of those trackless kiddie train rides, like the miniature trains. I know we already have like the railroad trains. We have the Connie Express, and I can't remember what the other one is, but we already have those technically in the game. But these are more bright and colorful and little miniature railroads for kids. And you could have it. It could maybe be a trackless one or one on a track. You could maybe do it like we already have the tracked rides, and then if we needed to, we could just sink the actual track itself down to the ground and make it look like it's trackless. That could maybe work too. But that's one thought for one of the tracked rides that we can maybe get. Now, my last tracked ride, and this is one that I know a lot of the community would love to have. I personally would also love to have this, and that is a boat ride. And I know some of you are saying, well, we got the water coaster. Well, we do, and you can maybe make that work. The problem is not a whole lot of people want to ride the water coaster unless you make it fairly kind of extreme. Like I like to make the water coaster into a giant flume and have that kind of be the giant flume since we don't have one. Hint, hint. Yeah, I think that would be something neat to kind of get. Would be a boat ride, like a dark ride for boats, a dark water ride, so to speak. There's a couple of different ones I can mention and bring up here that we could probably talk about. It's a Small World, going back to the Disney-esque thing that Frontier loves to create their own versions of Disney things. It's a Small World, or Pirates of the Caribbean, for example. There's also another one of the Six Flags park. I think it's Georgia, has the Monster House, Monster Manor, or something like that. It's a dark ride. And going back to my early childhood, in the original days of Kings Island, the Hanna-Barbera Enchanted Voyage, where it was also a dark ride, and then it got changed into the Smurfs. So a great other reason why we could maybe get some great scenery pieces as well that could possibly be, kind of more in the line of dark ride stuff. But it could also be colorful pieces. You could have little, like It's a Small World kind of scenery pieces, or maybe some more dark ride stuff. That would be kind of cool to get. So yeah, that's going through everything. That's all the rides. Now, as another thing I like to do is I like to add other things into these sets that could maybe be added into the game that is not scenery, because I feel like with the Theme Maker's Toolkit, Frontier does want to move away from adding scenery into the DLC, and they're concentrating more on things that we can't make with Theme Maker's Toolkit. I've said this before, I still think this is going to be true. And that is, just other little things, like midway games, like in my first DLC video. And for a family fun pack, new mascots. I know a lot of people were upset that we didn't get the vintage King Coaster. And although he wouldn't really fit well in this pack, but, maybe an entirely new mascot. Maybe, I don't know, a panda. Or a cat. Something like that. Maybe like a lion or a tiger. Mascot, something like that. New mascots would be awesome. I know a lot of people would love to have some new mascots. And I think that would be something that would go great into a family fun pack. So that is going to be it for my thoughts on new DLC that we could possibly get with Planet Coaster. And speaking of DLC, if you guys have not heard yet, we are getting more stuff for Planet Coaster in April. There's a big stream planned for their live stream on YouTube for April 10th. And that's going to be this coming Wednesday. And I figure here's what's going to happen. This special stream that they have planned, I think they're going to announce the new DLC. Now, they haven't actually said it's going to be DLC or anything like that. They just said another big update. I don't think it's just going to be a normal update. I really think this is going to be DLC. There's some things, if you go to the Steam DB, the Steam database, and look, all signs are kind of pointing towards DLC. So I really think it's going to be a DLC for this one. And for the release date, we've got the stream coming up on the 10th. I think we're going to see it released, because they usually announce it and then it releases the next week. I think we'll see the DLC announced on the 10th, and then I think we'll get some teasers throughout the week, and then the next week on that Tuesday it will release, which I believe is the 16th, I think. And then there's another special stream scheduled for the 17th, which is a Wednesday, because they do their live streams on YouTube on Wednesday. So I think the 10th will be the announcement, I think the 16th will be the release, and I think the 17th will be them talking about it with the special stream. So I kind of am wondering what this DLC is going to be. I think it's going to be something interesting and worthwhile, because they are devoting an entire hour of a stream to it the day after it comes out. So I'm kind of wondering, what is it they need to talk about? What is it they need to explain that they didn't get it to talk about during the teaser on the 10th? It could be anything, really, at this point. I honestly have no idea. But something that they're going to have to explain how it works, kind of like they did with Theme Maker's Toolkit. We got an entire stream talking about how to use Theme Maker's Toolkit. That honestly didn't really teach you anything, but that's not the point. The fact that we even got a special stream for that, and it was a big thing, it was a big change to Planet Coaster. So I'm curious, is the fact that they are having this stream, a special stream the day after the DLC launches, does that mean that there is going to be some kind of interesting change to the game that needs going over so we can know how to use it and talk to and told how to, basically explained on how it works? Or is it just going to be them talking more about what it took to develop this and that, and just showing more of it off? Is that what we're going to see? It's hard to say. But that's my definite thoughts for that. Like I said, I think we are going to see the special stream on Wednesday is going to be the announcement on the 10th. We'll get some teasers all week long with their social media, and then of course the actual release date will be the 16th, and another special stream on the 17th. That's what's going on in the world of Planet Coaster right now. That's what's going on for April updates. I'm actually, as much as I'm curious what new stuff is actually going to be coming in the DLC, I'm actually kind of curious, what are they going to break this time? With every DLC, something is broken. So it's curious, what are they going to screw up this time? But I'm joking. I'm mildly joking about that. It's actually kind of true. They always screw something up with every DLC release. So I wonder what bugs we're going to get. But I am half joking about that as well. I'm looking forward to the DLC. I always like new stuff. Well, not always. World's Fair was, yeah. Well, it was World's Fair, wasn't it? But most of the other ones, I was really, really happy with Magnificent Rides. And I really loved Vintage. Spooky, Adventure, both of those were quite good as well. So those are all my favorite DLCs. They seem to do one great one and then one bad one. Like, their studios was good for like scenery pieces, and that's about it for me. I know a lot of people loved it because a lot of people were all of a sudden creating studios, parks, and stuff like that. But that's really all it was good for. And you don't really see Tower of Terrors in the Six Flags parks. So, you know, it wasn't a huge, great DLC for me. But anyway, I digress. I need to stop ranting right now, and I've said everything I need to say about this. New DLC in a couple weeks. That's my thoughts. This has been kind of my brainstorming on possible future DLC that we could maybe get, different theme pack ideas. I'm not done yet. I have a ton of more things in my head that could possibly be more DLC. And I will talk about that in the next episode of future DLC thoughts. So thanks for tuning in and watching, guys. I appreciate you all for being fans of the channel. I really, really do. I'm going to head out of here. You guys have a great rest of the evening. Enjoy the announcement on Wednesday. We'll find out what it is together. Obviously, I will be making a video talking about that as soon as I get in and get a chance to actually peruse over everything and all the information. I will do my own little discussion video about it. I know you guys, like to hear my thoughts on that. Even though you may not agree with them, I know you still like to hear me rant. In the meantime, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thanks for watching. What's up, everybody? Thank you for watching the video. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button down below and click on the bell to stay on top of all my new videos and live streaming events here on YouTube. I also want to give a huge shout out to all the names you see on the right for their support through donations, Patreon, and through Twitch subs. If you would like to join their ranks and you are able, you can do so by clicking on any of those links in the video description down below. No worries though, if you don't like giving away money like that, you can still support the channel by purchasing games or anything through Greenman Gaming, through Humble Bundle, or through Amazon by clicking on my links and making your purchase. A little bit of that goes towards me to support the channel. If you still can't get enough of me, you can always check me out live on twitch.tv and stay up to date with me on Twitter as well. Now that's going to be it, but I can't say thank you enough for all your support here on the channel. Wherever you guys are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. See you later.